Good evening, everyone. Welcome back inside our Home Field Credit Union Studio B as we present the latest edition of the Milford Informer. I am your host, Tim Coet. We flipped the calendar to March today, and while that may start to get some people excited for spring, we're about to get a serious blast of winter weather throughout the weekend. And so the best thing you can do is stay bundled up inside and get caught up with us here on the Informer. Let's get started by showing you tonight's top stories rundown. Tonight, we debut a new informational series with our friends at Cornerstone at Milford, with the first installment titled Debunking Common Assisted Living Myths. Also tonight, we sit down with Milford Special Olympics athlete Ashley Aldrich as she relives her experiences participating in the NBA Cares game that took place during NBA All-Star Weekend. And later in sports, we put a wrap on the winter sports season with one final update on Milford boys and girls basketball. As we've mentioned in the past, Cornerstone at Milford has been one of our longest-running sponsors and supporters here at Milford TV. As we continue to collaborate with the folks at Cornerstone, we're happy to unveil a new video series that will help educate the public on the various services Cornerstone has to offer. Let's take a look now at our first installment of this new series.
Hi, my name is Christine Mateer, and I'm the Community Relations Director at Cornerstone at Milford, and I'm with Beth Patris, our Executive Director at Cornerstone. And today we'd like to welcome you here so we can help explain a little bit about what assisted living is.
So Christine, probably we both meet families on a regular basis that they're always curious about what assisted living is, right, and what assisted living is not. What do you find as kind of the biggest misconception out there?
I think most people think that we are a skilled nursing facility. They don't realize that we are a social model. You know, though we have nursing oversight, that they still think they get the two confused, and they are very different.
I think I come across individuals have an idea that absolutely no way could they afford assisted living, that it's so expensive. And I think that's one of the parts I really enjoy, sitting down with the family and breaking down what's included, looking at their current situation, expenses that they're paying now, some of those hidden costs that they're just really not realizing the impact that it's having, whether that be taxes, insurance, repair costs to their home, not to mention trying to provide services coming into the home if they have a particular need. And it's great when we can sit down and kind of go through all of those options, compare it to what a monthly cost at assisted living would be, and in many cases it's really the same, if not less, depending on the level of services that they have coming into the home. Do you find that?
I do, and I have to say I think a lot of families don't realize how many options are out there for them to pay for assisted living as well. You know, whether it's the veterans benefit or PACE, or, you know, every community is a little bit different, and it's an important question that families need to ask going into that is, you know, what affordability options do they have?
Absolutely, because right now what we're seeing is really an educated consumer. And I love that they can, there's so many resources out there, whether it be at the local senior center, their physician's office might have a case manager, to our website. Individuals can go on our website of www.cornerstonemilford.com. And it's constructed really not to be a marketing tool, but really a resource for families. There's actually an e-booklet that I've referred, and I'm sure you have, for many individuals, that they can go online and really read up on how to pay for assisted living. What are those options? And in fact, we do have hard copies, if I'm not mistaken, that individuals can even call the community. And it's really written about the industry, not about our specific community. I think when they look through that and realize that not every community is, not every assisted living is the same, One of the big differentiators is how they break down those costs.
Right.
Here at Cornerstone, we have a monthly cost, so it includes not just their apartment and utilities and services and programs and transportation and housekeeping, but it also can include their care, assistance with what we call activities of daily living, bathing and dressing, to assistance with medication, to overnight checks if they need that. Other communities may look at it on what they call a tiered price. Have you come across that?
Yes, and I think that's the biggest thing I try to educate families when they come to visit, is to make sure you're asking that question. You know, is medication included, that medication management? Is it SAM, which is self-administered medication, or do they have a higher level of medication management, LMA, limited medication administration? Ask, is the care included? And if it is, are they charging in a tiered amount by how often they're giving the care, or are they inclusive? I mean, I think we're fortunate. Not many do inclusive pricing. So it is an important question, because at the end of the day, you want to know what your bill's going to be every single month.
And I think to make it simple for families, again, looking at, are they is this a community that has all of their charges bundled in one monthly cost, so there's no surprises at the end of the month or the end of the year. They can forecast. Is it a community that has tiers where they're going to fluctuate between those tiers as their needs change within the month or within the time of their stay there? Is it a community that has it charges by the minute? So at least you're preparing yourself, you're doing your due diligence, you're doing your research to know what to expect.
Right. And I think the other important thing is to look at the quality of the programming that they're offering as well. Not just, you know, you want to ask all those questions about pricing and tiers and medication management, what kind of oversight they have with nursing, but take a look at the calendar and make sure these are things that that will interest your loved one, and how do they go about engaging your loved one into the community, and again, what kind of robust program do they have?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So could you explain some of the financial options that are available to those in the community when they go to look at any other outside assisted living?
Absolutely. And again, in that e-booklet that I mentioned earlier, there's a great reference to really try to simplify it for individuals and put them in the right direction. Probably one of the most familiar to individuals are through the Veterans Administration. There's a program called Veterans Aid and Attendance. It's based on an individual or their spouse or surviving spouse that had time earned in the, or time served in the military. And depending on their discharge, their time of service, they may be eligible for additional income that can be used to cover whether it be costs at home or costs in assisted living. Another federal program that's not as well known is called PACE, which is an acronym for Program for All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. It's not well known because even though it is a federal program and it is in every state, it's not in every part of every state. We being in Milford, as part of Worcester County, we are a PACE supported service area. So PACE is a program to help as individuals remain out of a nursing home, pure and simple, is that they do have needs, and those needs do need to be met, but are there options outside of a medical or nursing home? And that's where individuals can be enrolled in the PACE program and receive those services, and here at Cornerstone at Milford, receive assistance in supplementing their cost at the assisted living.
Can you explain some of the options that people should be asking about? You know, we talked about care and medication management, but as far as what might be included in those costs, because they're going to need to know in different communities if they're going to need to bring extra services in, and what might be included when they come to.
Absolutely, and I think the best way, again, for the educated consumer is do your research. Go and visit the community, have a better understanding, and be very upfront about what your concerns are, of what your current needs are, as well as what you feel may come up, and how is the community going to handle those changes as they occur. Can the community support those changes? Does that support mean additional charges by the community, or is it covered? At what point would they need to secure outside services? At what point is the assisted living no longer able to support those needs and those goals? So I think those are really valid questions.
So Beth, You've been in this industry for a while now, and what do you find is like one of the other big misconceptions that families have coming into looking at assisted living?
Well, we talked about the fact that this is not a nursing home. We talked about the fact that it's more affordable than individuals may anticipate that it would be. I think the other misconception is that it is not a hotel.
Right.
It is a home.
Right.
Individuals, this is their apartment. People have, we respect individuals' privacy. Residents, I just had a gentleman that was on vacation in Florida with his family for 4 days. Awesome. Didn't take me with him, but it would have been, again, individuals can come and go. We have a resident who had her 2 grandchildren visiting from Ohio, and they were staying with her.
Oh, great.
And how awesome that is. Right. We have a resident that her grandson goes to college, and it has been several years that she's, or even in high school, she made breakfast for him every Saturday morning. He still comes, and she still makes breakfast for him in her apartment, because our residents do have a full kitchen that they can do, make their own breakfast, make their light snacks, entertain, but they also have a full restaurant and a cafe, so there's options. And I think that sometimes people feel that an assisted living dictates their schedule, where it really is just the opposite. Most of our residents moving in, their first, after they understand what all those options are, their first reaction is, boy, why did I stress over this? I should have done this so much sooner, because now I have more freedom and more choices, and living life to its fullest.
Right. And I think the biggest misconception is that people feel they're going to lose their independence and dignity. And it's actually just the extreme opposite. In fact, often people move into assisted living and then end up thriving because they have the supports they need, but yet are able to still do things independently and make their own choices and do what it is that makes them feel fulfilled at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Many of our residents still have their car here. They come and go. We have one gentleman that just recently stopped working. He was working part-time position and loved it, just recently stopped that. We have residents that have their pets here.
Right.
So again, it is just like your own home, but it's your own home with a lot of friends close by, a lot of services if and when you need them.
Exactly. Could you explain as to what options are available with apartments as far as, decorating or staying here in the community?
Absolutely. Majority of our residents they have their own style, their own taste, that favorite chair that they love to sit in, and most of our residents will bring in their own furnishings. But in many cases, individuals want to come to the community and they want to trial a stay. They want to kind of try assisted living on for a while and see what that lifestyle affords them. And in that case, then we design and set up a fully furnished apartment that individuals can come into Cornerstone with just their personal items and medication and family photos, and everything else is taken care of for them. So Christine, we find in surveying individuals that generally they're individuals that are out there and educating themselves about assisted living may look at anywhere from 1 to 3 different communities in their area, their preferred area. When an individual tours or a family tours a community, what are some of the questions that they should be prepared to ask?
Well, I think one of the big things is, you want to make sure that you know what the care is that's included. Some communities might start off what sounds like a very reasonable price, but at the end of the day, when you look at how many hours of care are included in that week or what medication management is included, again we talked about the tiers, you really need to know that information, because you don't want any surprises monthly as far as what your bill is going to look like. Also, you want to know about what affordability options there are. We talked about PACE. Long-term care insurance is another option that a lot of families are able to use, the VA benefit. So you want to ask those options as well if they have any.
So since you mentioned that individuals should educate themselves on service options or care options, and that may not be what they need now, but maybe an anticipated need down the road, would you recommend individuals have an assessment, and what does that assessment mean?
Yes, I definitely feel that somebody needs to have an assessment, because you want to know going into a community that your loved one's going to be set up for success. And that community that you choose, like here at Cornerstone, when we do an assessment, we want to make sure we know all about somebody's needs, not just medically, but who are they as a person? Like what kind of things make them feel important and fulfilled at the end of the day, so that we are providing everything that they need, from the right diet to the right care, whether you talked about activities of daily living. Do they need help showering? Do they need help with escorts to a dining room?
Should families anticipate that there would be a charge for this assessment?
There should not be a charge for the assessment. We don't at Cornerstone. I mean, it's a good question to ask, because there are some communities that will ask that as part of their deposit in order to do an assessment, but we really feel that to do an assessment is just the right thing to do. We have to have integrity and make sure that we're able to provide that right care for that person in order to set them up for success. We don't want to bring somebody into the community not knowing that we're going to be able to give them the best care possible.
So as individuals are continuing this or starting this process, the few things to kind of recap is that allow Cornerstone to be a resource. There is not a commitment. We're here to be an asset to families to educate them on the industry as a whole. Know that there are payment options out there that can make assisted living affordable, that individuals may be eligible for these programs, and learning more about the programs, that assisted living is a social structure. It is there as a supportive structure. It's not taking over, it's enhancing an individual's level of independence and quality of life. So we want to thank you all for spending some time with us today. I hope the information was valuable and you learned a little bit more about assisted living and about Cornerstone at Milford. Please know that you're always welcome to give us a call or even stop by, take a tour of the community, and learn more information about what would be specific to your situation and need.
Milford has a new sports star in town, and her name is Ashley Aldrich. For those who may not have heard about Ashley, she's a longtime Special Olympics athlete who was chosen as one of 12 athletes from around the world to compete at NBA Cares, which took place during the NBA All-Star Weekend in late February. This week we were thrilled to meet up with Ashley, as well as Special Olympics Director Jen Walsh, to hear all about this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And we were very happy to have on the Milford Informer this week someone who has very quickly become a celebrity here in Milford. We have Ashley Aldrich from the Milford Special Olympics, of course, Special Olympics Director Jen Walsh joining us as well. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So a very exciting topic, and this has certainly taken the Milford community by storm. A lot of the country has been talking about this game. Of course, we're talking about the NBA Cares game, which takes place at the NBA All-Star Weekend every year. They've been doing it now for close to a decade now, I believe. Mm-hmm. And just such an exciting opportunity for Ashley to be part of that. Ashley, we want to ask you all about it in just a minute. But first, Jen, I want to turn to you. And how did this come about? This is a pretty exclusive honor. How did Ashley end up getting selected for this opportunity?
So you had to submit an application, and then you had to submit a video. So we submitted the application, and then Special Olympics Massachusetts helped us with the video, and then they sent it all in. And then we just waited, and we were prepared to, not hear, because they're picking 12 people from around the world. So it's a big deal to be picked. And I said the chances are slim, and if you don't get it, we were all prepared. And when we got the news, we were quite shocked.
And that's something big to talk about. It's not just 12 athletes from this area, or even 12 athletes from the country. This was the whole world. The whole world. And of everyone who was submitted from around the world, Ashley was one of 12 selected. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
And
I was very proud of her.
And so, Ashley, when you found out that you were going to have the opportunity to go down to All-Star Weekend and be in this game, what was your reaction?
I was shocked.
Now, you've been playing basketball here in Milford for a long time. What made you start playing basketball in the first place?
I started playing basketball with my dad, and when we just got in, we just started playing a game and stuff, and we just started getting into it, and then I just started liking it ever since.
And how long would you say that you've been playing?
Pretty long time.
Over 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is probably your favorite part about playing basketball?
Playing with other kids that like it just like you,
Yeah, that's certainly a great reason, and there's a lot of other great participation. Obviously, this has been a huge year for Special Olympics, for unified sports here in Milford. You hang the national champions banner this past fall, and now to have an honor like this, it really must make you feel a little bit gratified personally, Jen, to just see how much the program is thriving here locally.
Yeah, I am. I'm very proud of our athletes. We have great athletes, volunteers, family members. It's a great group. So, and I'm happy for the athletes that they get to have these accomplishments and achievements and experiences. Ashley never flown before.
Wow.
So things like that, you know what I mean? When we took a team to nationals, a lot of those athletes hadn't flown before. They haven't left Massachusetts, so it's kind of nice. It's nice to give them that experience. How
was the experience overall from when you first got there? What was the treatment like? What was the hotel like? What were some of those details? What were some of those experiences like for you, Ashley?
It was fancy in there. It was nice.
Yeah.
They had a gym in there. They had a pool in there. They have a TV in there.
And did you have an opportunity right away to meet the other athletes that you were going to have a chance to play with?
Yeah.
Well, now these were athletes from all around the world. Did you have fun meeting people from different places all around the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an opportunity not a lot of people can have.
I know, and that's what's, and it's nice to, even around the world, in Ireland or Germany, they have the same passion and this, same excitement about the program there as we do here. So it's nice to see. Yeah.
And as part of the NBA Cares game, for people who may have not had a chance to watch it, and now I believe that the NBA Cares game streamed live online, so there might be an opportunity to go back and look at archived footage of that. So if you missed it when it aired, certainly see if there's any of that available. And there's certainly a ton of pictures and everything to commemorate the time. But this is a mixture of athletes and then former NBA and WNBA athletes as well.
Right,
is that right?
Right. So it was mostly NBA and WNBA legends that played on the team with Ashley and the other, and so they had 12 athletes from around the world, 6 on each team, and then they paired them up with legends, NBA and WNBA legends, to play in the game.
And there was also somebody exciting who was your coach. I want to ask you about that in a minute, but you got to play with some really big name NBA legends. Can you tell us about a couple of those players that got to be on your team with you?
I think one of them name was Steph.
Oh, you mean the WNBA?
Yeah.
See, Asia was on your team, and who was on your team? Asia was Rookie of the Year, so she's still a legend. She's still playing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then who is the NBA players that are on your team? Remember this?
Matumbo.
That's how I get it around.
Everybody remembers that. No. That's famous. And I heard that you were actually taller than one of the NBA legends on your team, and somebody that certainly growing up, I remember playing, Muggsy Bogues. What was that like playing with him? Could you believe that you were taller than a former NBA player?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I'm actually, because a lot of the other ones were taller than I was.
And that's just amazing, and it's great to see that kind of camaraderie on the court, and that must have been an exciting experience just for you to stand on the sidelines and to see Ashley suited up out there on the court with all of those different players.
It was such a wonderful experience for her. I was happy.
And so now we have to get to your coach, and now you guys had no idea who was going to be the coach of your team going in. You knew at least it was going to be a current NBA player.
Yep.
And so all of a sudden it comes time for your coach to come out, and Ashley, tell everybody who your coach was.
My coach was Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving from the Boston Celtics. Now, you're a huge Kyrie Irving fan?
Yeah.
So what was that like to have Kyrie as your coach?
When I found out, my face just dropped, like I couldn't believe it.
And now I've seen some footage online of Kyrie doing dribbling drills with you, working with you one-on-one. So you had an opportunity to actually get some coaching just one-on-one with yourself with Kyrie. Was that cool?
Yeah.
That is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And Kyrie has been so exciting for Celtics fans to watch since he's been here, and that's great for him certainly to take the time to be part of this event as well.
And now the whole team, all the athletes, got outfitted in Kyrie Irving Nike sneakers too, which Ashley has on today. They're her favorite sneakers.
That's those.
She wore them for you, Tim. She doesn't take them out in the snow.
I'm pretty excited to see them. I'm a little jealous of them. I'm not going to lie. And of course, you're decked out in all of the All-Star gear. And now, if you can show the camera right now, the hardware you have there. Now, can you tell us about that?
What'd you get that for?
For playing in the game.
And your team, what happened with your team?
They won.
So, burying the lead, on top of everything else, you guys get the win in the NBA Cares game. So that must have been exciting when all was said and done for you guys to be the winners.
It was.
Well, that's so exciting. And now you've had the opportunity to get to share your story now at school with the local papers. So do you feel like this has almost been a life-changing experience for you going through all of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now when you got back with your local teammates here in Milford, were they all excited to hear the story?
Yeah, they were.
And probably a little jealous too, but I bet they were excited for you.
Yeah.
Well, this is such an exciting story, and certainly something I'm sure the community is going to remember for a long time.
Yeah, I think so. I am. I'm going to remember it.
So we're so excited, Ashley. Thank you so much for coming in to tell your story.
You're welcome.
And Jen, thank you so much for
problem.
joining us as well. Ashley Aldrich, fresh off a performance, a game-winning performance in the NBA Cares game at the NBA All-Star Weekend just a couple of weeks ago. Well, ladies, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Sadly, our sports update for this week is a brief one. By now, most of you know the ultimate fate of the Scarlet Hawks boys basketball team. When we were last on air, the boys had one final Davenport Division game left on their schedule that would go a long way toward determining their playoff fate. That game took place back on February 15th with the boys traveling to Canton. Milford put forth a solid effort and even held a 3-point lead going into the second half, but the Hawks could not contain Bulldogs star Devin Foster, who became Canton's all-time scoring leader as he led his team to a 52-46 win over Milford. That loss, combined with a last-second victory for the Foxborough Warriors, officially eliminated the Scarlet Hawks from playoff contention. Milford ultimately finished off their season by hosting the 4th annual Scarlet Hawk Classic. The boys would go 1-1 in the tournament, losing to Malden in overtime before ending the season with a win against Tantascwa. The boys ended the year with an overall record of 9-12. We'd also like to recognize the Milford girls basketball team. After a difficult rebuilding year, the girls closed out the season in style. The Lady Hawks put forth their best offensive effort of the season as they matched up with Burncoat High School, and they were able to walk away with a 51-29 win, earning their first victory on the last day of the 2018-19 season. With no playoffs for either basketball team, that means our Milford High School sports coverage is officially on hiatus until the snow melts and we're able to get back outside for the start of the spring sports season. Once again, we will bring you coverage of baseball and softball, as well as select boys volleyball and girls and boys lacrosse games. And before the season officially gets going, we hope to bring you season previews with all 5 teams, so keep an eye out for those in the weeks to come. In the meantime, that's going to wrap things up for this week. Next Friday, we should have a jam-packed show as we preview the upcoming Milford High School Spring Musical. We'll also let you know the details on the upcoming Brookside's Got Talent showcase, and we'll have a recap of the candidate forum held for the seniors at Milford High School. We look forward to having you join us next time. Until then, from all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coette saying have a great week. So long, everybody.